UFC 313, man. It ended up being a pretty good card, okay? Now that the dust is fucking settled, I'm gonna sound so mental here, but you know, like those little dust ball things in the cowboy movies and all that bullshit. Dude, wait, hold on. What the fuck are they called, bro? They're like scrappy. Dude, there's a whole thing for it on Reddit. What are those dust balls called? Tumbleweeds, bro! Tumbleweeds! So now that it's been a few days, we've had time to think about it. Now that the tumbleweeds are done bouncing all around, man, we can all say, well, most of us at least, that UFC 313, it did deliver, and it was a pretty good card, alright? The main event, say whatever you want about the result of it, alright? I think the right decision was made. I personally had it 3-2 for Ankalaev, but let's fucking be real with it. It was a dud of a fight. It leaves a lot to be desired for the rematch here, or to get excited for it. That was the main event, a bit of a dud, and then we had the women's fight in the main card, which kind of took everything to a complete halt, man. Like, the prelims were full of fun back and forths, a robbery here and there, say whatever the fuck you want about it, but really fun finishes, shit like that, and the main card opened up with a sick fucking finish from Mauricio Ruffy. We'll get to him. We'll get to all these motherfuckers. It was overall a solid amount of matchups that we have to make here. I feel like in terms of big rankings or kind of big name value, there's less than I thought, honestly. I mean, the card felt like one of those big pay-per-view card feels, but when we're looking at just the amount of names, not as many as I remembered. I know that the whole Blaydes pullout was there, but we're going to be talking about him as well. Gotta feature him because we're not running back Blaydes and Kuniev, alright? Let me fucking tell you that much. Alright, y'all. So I messed up, okay? I'm editing this video right now, and look, first of all, look at my ass, bro. I paused at the bad damn time. Okay, I look like that bald eagle, the USA eagle from the Muppets, bro. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm realizing that they rebooked this fight for UFC Qatar in May now, so Blaydes versus Kuniev for a third time is being booked, so I sound stupid. I'm still going to book Blaydes anyways because I recorded for this video, and I think that they could do a lot better than booking Kuniev for a third time, but it is what it is, bro. Let's just start off, man, with the main event here, just going over this for, I guess, talking about Pereira and Ankalaev. What are we going to do with both of these guys? I think that they should run it back, okay? As much as I think Ank versus Prochazka sounds like a really intriguing fight, I mean, it's genuinely impossible to have a boring fight with Yuri motherfucking Prochazka, and then Alex Pereira, you know, maybe some time off is needed here, and Ankalaev would want to be active. In the meantime, can't really see that being a possibility. Maybe, who the hell knows, but maybe Pereira also, you know, wants to make a permanent move up to heavyweight, or even just try it once. Maybe they give him a Volkov or something like that. Who the hell knows? But, I mean, hey, Blaydes is free now, so who the hell knows? But Pereira, let's just say that he wants to finish his career, or at least at the moment right now for his career, focus on getting that light heavyweight title back, then I think that the rematch versus Ank is going to be the move. Ankalaev, before the fight, before he 48-47 him, he was saying that he'd be willing to give Pereira the rematch. It's not like he had much of a choice, alright? It's like, I give rematch for the sure brother, but, you know, it's kind of like a gunpoint, like he's reading the script that Uncle Dana wrote for him, but it's really not. Like, Ankalaev, you know what, the UFC was going to make him do it no matter what, but Ankalaev, man, he went out there, and I wouldn't see any reason why he wouldn't be okay with the rematch. Seeing as how well he performed the first time, and now seeing how his stock is completely going to rise now that he has a belt on him. So Ankalaev, man, there's Russian superstardom potential here, brother. You know, he's kind of have a mark. He kind of has a market and a fan base already kind of built in. So imagine that we see an Ankalaev active title reign, and he's able to kind of, you know, pick up a bit of a better performances than what we just saw against Pereira. Don't get me wrong, beating Pereira is a fantastic achievement, but it's just a bit of a dud of a performance. And you could say the same with the Rakic fight right before, and a lot of the fights we've seen recently out of Ankalaev. I mean, I've gone out of my way to say that Ankalaev, I think, is an underrated finisher, and he's underrated when it comes to how exciting he can be, and is, and has shown that in a couple of performances, more than a decent amount, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there's too many duds here, man, to kind of just make me excited for an Ankalaev title reign. So selfishly, I'm kind of rooting for Pereira to take this one back. I'm sure Dana is. I'm sure that 70% of you probably are. But Pereira versus Ankalaev, again, with how boring the first fight was between these two, and with Ankalaev not being, you know, it was a great performance for him, don't get me wrong. I mean, he didn't even really start incorporating the wrestling until like the second half of the fight. Very on and off with it. So Ankalaev, man, really just went out there and outstruck Pereira. Pereira, we just saw very timid, no pedals on the gas, no foot on the gas pedal. You know what the fuck I'm trying to say. No foot on the gas. There we go. For Pereira here, Ankalaev just completely controlled the pace of the fight. I mean, he had the speed advantage already, but just, you know, the fact that he was just controlling when he wanted to play it on the feet, when he wanted to try and take this fight to the ground. I mean, if you were going to tell me, here's the fucking thing, you guys, about this fight, okay? If you're going to tell me that Ankalaev was the one that was really kind of making it a back and forth, and Pereira was the one that was stuffing all of Ankalaev's takedowns, in the double digits too, 11 takedowns, it could have been even more. It's like, what kind of voodoo land backwards as, I don't even know, I don't even have an analogy crazy enough to describe, like how, I wouldn't have guessed that, okay? Ankalaev winning, that wouldn't have surprised me so much. We were all saying it was a very 50-50 fight going into it, but for Ankalaev to go out there and just piece up Pereira and have the better of the striking exchanges and land the bigger shots, and for Pereira to look so defensively sound when it came to the grappling, like both these guys showed improvements kind of where people were talking the most shit in regards to them, if that makes sense. Like at least Pereira kind of was more outside his comfort zone with the wrestling. I mean, Ankalaev is already a striker and already had that built in. It's primarily his style to begin with. He's just a guy that also has really good wrestling, but the thing is to do it against Pereira, who, like, listen, a lot of people are saying this guy was the best fucking striker in the UFC. I don't know if we could say that anymore, but I do think that the credibility is still there. I think Pereira is still that good when it comes to, pound for pound on the feet. Like, he's one of the best strikers in the company, but fuck, man. Ankalaev pieced him up and controlled him out there and really pushed him against the fence. For Pereira, I mean, he got a little too Sandhagen, a little too Nurhagen with it, all right? He needs to kind of go back and remember what got him to the dance, all right? Kind of let loose a little bit, I understand that maybe, too, Ankalaev was just a tricky motherfucker to figure out, or maybe Pereira was just very afraid of the takedown threat, but he's got to move the fuck forward. He's got to do something if he's going to want to get that belt back, because if the dude isn't landing these power shots, all right, and if he isn't, getting these guys into the pocket, if he doesn't do anything in the striking department besides just land a shit ton of leg kicks, and even then the leg kicks, he landed a lot of them on Ankalaev, but they didn't do too much to him. So at the end of the day, man, Pereira needs to do what got him to the dance, because without that, we see shit like this. Close performances, but not enough for Pereira to kind of edge it out. So I'm done really yapping about this, man. It's going to be a little bit tough to kind of get rejuvenated and re-amped for this. I could see them doing it in Abu Dhabi. I'm sure by then everyone, we'll forget, brother. We will remember and forget at the same time. Say whatever the fuck you want about it, but it is what it is. Maybe Pereira will thrive on kind of like that enemy territory like that, or whatever the fuck. And it is what it is, man. Ankalaev's got the belt now, so we got to kind of do this, and timing-wise, timeline-wise, whatever the fuck, calendar-wise, it makes sense to do that around October for the annual Abu motherfucking Dhabi card. So let's run it back with Pereira versus Ankalaev if Pereira does not want to go up to heavyweight. But if Pereira does want to do heavyweight, I think we should do Ankalaev versus Prochazka. I think that's a banger, to be honest with you. Here comes now to the clusterfuck that is lightweight. Now, what are we going to do with Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev here, okay? So let's just start off with Justin Gaethje, because for this one, if I'm going to explain this, I kind of got to go into a couple other fights as well. I'm going to try to make this as brief as I can. Because just the lightweight scenario, I feel like it's like a chess game, okay? When you're moving one of these guys, everything on the board just fucking gets highlighted. You got to really kind of pay attention, because, okay, this guy needs to fight this guy, but that'll make him unavailable for this guy, and this timing doesn't work, and blah blah. Like lightweight, there's so much potential for so many fun matchups, but it's also very easy to fuck it up at the same time. It's a dangerous fucking ball game that we're doing here, but I think you should rebook Gaethje versus Hooker, okay? I think you should do Dustin Poirier versus Ilia Topuria, mate, okay? And I think you should do Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. Unfortunately, that leaves Makhachev with nobody, and that leaves Arman Tsarukyan with nobody. If only they could fucking fight each other. Crazy fucking thing, but at the end of the day, they're not going to, because I get it, okay? I get it, because Tsarukyan did kind of fuck up the card. Don't get me wrong, the card still delivered, and Money Moicano, baby. Benil Dariush, easy money, brother. Islam Makhachev, not so easy money, okay? Moicano saved the motherfucking card, but at what cost, okay? But at the end of the day, man, Tsarukyan, it's so unfortunate that this happened, and I know that I think they're doing a fine thing by kind of doing it this way. You kind of want to do a slap on the wrist sometimes. I get why they're doing it, and they're not just giving Tsarukyan the shot right away. They also might not just want to risk the card falling apart twice. I completely get it. It's just frustrating that, like, Tsarukyan is the clear next contender, so it's just, what the fuck do you do with him? And Makhachev versus Gaethje is kind of just, and Makhachev versus Topuria is a great fight, but it looks like we're not getting Makhachev versus Topuria right away. For some reason, the UFC, even Uncle Dana said if they were going to do Makhachev versus Topuria, they would have already came out and did it, so it seems Makhachev's not facing Topuria right away, so I feel like Poirier versus Topuria is just the right matchup to make. It's a fucking banger. I can honestly see Poirier winning it. I know Topuria is going to be like a minus 300 favorite or some crazy shit like that, but if you're asking for Uncle Smoke's odds here, man, I put Topuria like a minus 170. Don't sleep on Poirier. I really do fucking think that he could get it done, but that's a nice back and forth banger. A nice introductory fight to the lightweight division for Ilia Topuria. And Charles Oliveira, taking on, hey, it is what it is, brother. We'll find out October 26th. We got Max Holloway. I think that's a sick fucking matchup. If Oliveira gets past Holloway, I think that a title shot would be deserved at that point. I think Holloway is a big enough name, and if you're beating Holloway, especially as the last few years, you're the elite of the fucking elite. You can't do Holloway versus Gaethje. You can't do Holloway versus Poirier again. I don't know. Like, Holloway's kind of in this weird bubble. You could do Holloway versus Hooker. I think that's a really fun fight, but other than that, they're not going to do like Holloway versus Saryukin, So at the end of the day, I think that Holloway versus Oliveira is just stylistically such a really fun fight too. Like, Holloway's got really solid defensive grappling and takedown defense, and Oliveira, he's able to kind of match Holloway's pace on the feet and is able to kind of hold his own. And, you could even argue that the pop and the shot advantage here, who has the more power advantage on the feet or even on the ground here is going to go to Charles Oliveira, just the strength advantage. But Holloway is just such a valiant striker. He knows how to piece you the fuck up. And in his last couple of performances, don't get me wrong, we've seen him kind of pack on the power here. We've seen him kind of pack on, bulk up a bit properly since 300, for the lightweight division. So it's a dangerous matchup for both guys. They kind of have edges over each other in certain regards. It's a really kind of close to a pick'em fight. And that's what I like about all these, okay? Gaethje versus Hooker, it's a tough fight to call. Poirier versus Topuria, I think Topuria is going to be a big favorite, but there's still an argument for Poirier there, and it's a really fun fight. Oliveira versus Holloway, it's a tough fight to call, you know what I mean? So I think that all these matchups are just really kind of something fresh, you know what I mean? Like, I know that the lightweight division, as much as I appreciate all the big names, okay, it does kind of suffer from now we're kind of dealing with a lot of rematches. And don't get me wrong, Gaethje versus Poirier, the trilogy, I think could be a great choice. Don't get me wrong, especially, like a fight night headliner in Louisiana or like a pay-per-view co-main, Gaethje Poirier 3. I love it. I'm down for that. Gaethje Oliveira 2, okay. Like, I think Oliveira would kind of whoop Gaethje, and that's unfortunate, but even at this stage of both their careers, but I think that it would be very similar to their first fight. Maybe it would last a little bit longer, maybe kind of go into some deeper waters, but I think it would be very similar, and I think Oliveira would take it anyway. So there's nothing wrong with these rematches. I think you can get excited for them. I think there are wrong rematches to make, like Poirier and Holloway running back a trilogy. I think that's an example of something we should not be doing in terms of rematches, but it's not like everything just has to be bad because it's a fucking rematch. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like these matchups individually make sense. The only fucking bad part here is it's like, what the fuck do you do with Makhachev and what the fuck do you do with Saryukin? It is what it is. I mean, we got Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chan. You're about to duke it out, so like they could be their names, whoever wins that or even loses that could kind of be in the equation here. We got kind of things figuring themselves out. Fiziev is back now, and we got not Jalen fucking Turner. His ass retired. Holy shit! But we got Grant Dawson and Joel Alvarez on the rise for Asiam. Lightweight is really kind of figuring itself out as these older names I kind of just mentioned for matchmaking, besides Topuria, are kind of in the latter half of their career and making their way out. Lightweight's new freshness to it, and like I also didn't mention Mauricio motherfucking Ruffy. We still have to get to him, but I mean, lightweight is kind of in the turning of the new age. The new generation is kind of taking over here. We're going to see the rankings, I feel like, completely fucking different 2 years from now, okay? Just cut to right now, whatever the fuck. I hope y'all are seeing what's on my screen. Well, you can't, but the lightweight rankings, I'm looking at them right now, and it's just like, I feel like they're going to be completely fucking different and have so many new names or completely different order in just 2 years from now. So who the hell knows, man? But I think Gaethje versus Hooker, I think there could be a little bit better things, but at the end of the day, it would have been a great fight. It would have been a barn burner. I think that, it would be, it's going to be hard at first to get the hype back because we kind of got all excited for it, and then last minute had to kind of like, oh, we're not getting any more, like a little bit of blue balls there. But at the end of the day, man, I think it's still a good enough scrap, and it's something fresh to where I say book him. Gaethje and Hooker, man, and like Gaethje didn't really take too much damage here. He looked great. I think and Hooker is able to come back, I think at the late summer or the early fall. That should work great with Gaethje, so I think you should do UFC 318 or 19. Let's make this a fucking pay-per-view co-main. Let's fucking run a featured fight of a pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? So Gaethje and Hooker, Poirier and Topuria, and Oliveira versus Holloway. I think that's what you should be doing for the lightweight division. Again, I know there's some fucking flaws. I know that this this might be a little bit controversial for some of these, but I'm standing my base on this because at the end of the day, I went really back and forth on a lot of these matchups, but dude, these all get me the most excited, and I feel like a lot of them are really hard to predict, and it gives us a lot to talk about. So I'm going to stand my base on these picks, all right? So it is what it is, bro. It is what it is, brother. So moving on now to what are we going to do with the other half of the co-main, Rafael Fiziev, man. I think he should fight down, okay? He kind of fought, I don't know what the hell he was when he fought Gamrot, but that is what it is. Ended unfortunately, but then he kind of fought up twice going against Gaethje here. It's unfortunate. Fiziev, while I do think that he is an overrated fighter, I do think that he looked fucking good against Gaethje, man. Both times, yes, but specifically in the rematch, man, he looked good. I know some people had Fiziev winning that fight, which is crazy, but at the end of the day, Fiziev is in it. It's great to have him back, even though I do think he's a bit overrated. The skill set is there, and I think he can beat a lot of guys in the division, but let's see him fight down, okay? Like, I want to see him be a bit more active. He just had 2 years off because of the injury, and you know what? Let's see him kind of get the fuck after it here. Like, I think there are, like I said, winnable matchups for him fighting up or down in the rankings. You know what I'm saying? So who knows if you had a lot of the other guys at lightweight step in there against Fiziev on that night, even with short notice Fiziev. I know it was kind of ready at the same time, kind of was preparing, but at the same time, short notice, very bizarre little fucking hybrid there. But Fiziev versus Dawson. Let's just get to the fucking point. I don't know why I yap like this, dude, but number 14, Grant Dawson taking on number 11, Rafael Fiziev. Let's see it, man. Okay, Bahamondes. I know some people are saying do Bahamondes versus Fiziev, but I don't know. I'm not really. That'd be a great fight, really fun, but I think there's better things we could do for both of these guys individually. You know what I'm saying? And Grant Dawson, I want to see this guy fight up in the rankings, okay? The Grant Dawson, the KGD. Disrespect, man. I've had enough of it, dude. All right, let's get Grant Dawson facing up now in the rankings. I mean, Patty's right ahead of him, and Patty's doing his thing, and right above that is Rafael Fiziev now, man. So let's fucking run it, okay? I think that it'd be a great fight. Fiziev's showed some improvements in the wrestling in that Justin Gaethje fight. So it's like, that really completely, I don't know about y'all, but that completely, when I was watching the fight, it literally dropped my jaw a little bit, seeing Fiziev kind of get after it with the takedowns, like especially in the first round, and the fact that he actually got it through a couple of times now, man, like, and he was landing some good ground and pound too, like the improved ground game coming from Fiziev here, man. I love to see it. Like, Fiziev really didn't have anything in that department before the Justin Gaethje fight. Like, it was kind of his weak point in his game besides the cardio or maybe the experience, but it's like, now that Fiziev's kind of working on that, like, that's what I was saying going into the Gaethje fight. Like, when you have that 2 years off with injury, yeah, there's ring rust that comes with it, but at the same fucking time, dude, you can improve the things that were kind of holding you back, like the cardio or like the ground game. And you know what? The cardio for Fiziev was still kind of where we saw it before, but the ground game had massive improvements offensively and defensively from Fiziev here, so love to see that from him. And from Dawson, we saw it in, I forgot the name of the guy who he fought. Was it Rafa Garcia? Maybe it was, but he got the ground and pound TKO finish over, and then he fought Carlos Diego Ferreira right after too. And we've been seeing improvements in the striking from Grant Dawson, man. So Fiziev's wrestling, we've seen improvements, which we love to see it. It was kind of a weak point in his game. And Grant Dawson has been showing improvements in the striking, which you could say the same fucking thing on the contrary, man. All right, this is some Goku and Vegeta parallel here. Grant Dawson's been improvement in the striking, which was a weak part of his game. So let's see whose weakness, how do I word this here? Whose weak point is going to be stronger than the other ones, if that makes sense. Like, is Dawson striking going to be better than Fiziev's wrestling, and then Fiziev's wrestling going to be better than Dawson striking, vice versa? So Dawson's clearly going to want to take this fight to the ground, but is Fiziev going to be ready for him? Are the improvements enough? And when these guys, every round, I sound like Joe Rogan right here, every round starts on the feet, man. People forget, man. We should start doing this in the basketball courts. No time limit, man. Just keep the positions, man. But seriously, like, every round and every fight starts on the feet. And like, I feel like Dawson is very efficient in holding guys down, but he doesn't always get the takedowns, and if Fiziev's defense really is getting this good, let's really see it against a full-fledged wrestler, which Gaethje is not. Let's see it against a guy like Dawson, then we'll really find out. But Fiziev, man, these guys can both test each other fucking perfectly, okay? I could see a world where Fiziev's winning via knockout, and I could see a world where Dawson's winning via submission or ground and pound here. Like, at the end of the day, I think it's a really intriguing matchup stylistically. It makes sense in the rankings. Dawson finally gets to fight up. Fiziev finally gets to fight down here, and I like that Fiziev is back, but let's see him be active here, okay? Because Dawson's, he's relatively active, fights twice a year, but the disrespect, baby. He lost to Green once. Fool me once, shame on you, or me, or whoever the fuck. I even forget how it goes. I sound retarded here, but you're not fooling me twice with this one, okay? We're not going to have this where he just kind of keeps getting avoided from the rankings here. He's on a couple fight good win streak right now. He tried to really kind of get at the fuck after it in his last fight. Gassed out a bit, but at the end of the day, still was a great performance, and I think that this fight against Fiziev is kind of deserved here. So you can put this on a pay-per-view, man. Maybe like a pay-per-view opener, feature prelim of a stat card. No, not even. This should be on a main card of a pay-per-view or a fight night main event. That'd be good, honestly. I feel like this would be a good scrap in front of a crowd. So who the fuck knows? Moving on now to what are you going to do with Mauricio Monkey D. Ruffy here, okay? This guy, I don't know about y'all, but for me personally, it's been a while since I just got so suddenly invested in a fighter, emotionally and just performance-wise, man. Like, what are we going to say about Ruffy against Lion Top, man? We know for sure now that Lion Top is literally made out of something fucking else, alright? Some Minecraft Obsidian type shit, because how the fuck do you break that guy? Because I know that Green kind of doesn't have that great of a chin, but for him to just get, the fucking kick barely even grazed him. Like, granted, it did connect, but like, it wasn't even that just clean of a fucking hit, and it was enough to just completely flatline him. It was one of the craziest knockouts I've ever fucking seen. I know that a lot of people were dealing with, there was no Russian link, brother. A lot of people were struggling to buy the pay-per-view, and some people missed it, and goddamn, it's a tragedy because Mauricio Ruffy, it was a fantastic performance, and just like, listen, let's cut the bullshit, okay? I found out that this guy's last name isn't even Ruffy, okay? It's like inspired based off of the One Piece character Luffy and shit. And then motherfucker ended his promo, yo. He ended his promo with like, it was like Kaizo Kuni. On and without it, bro. Okay, there's going to be like 5% of y'all that understand that. There's going to be 50% of y'all that hate that, but I don't give a fuck, okay? For my dumbass personally, okay? This guy's out here making One Piece references, part of the Fighting Nerds, which is just such a badass camp right now where all these guys are just making such amazing rises to the top, All of them are so dynamic and fun. I know Baraujo is kind of just like leading the way, but not the most exciting. But the camp, the four horsemen, I should say, are just completely just setting the bar for excitement, and it's amazing to see. And on top of that, this guy can go out there and he can fucking strike, and people are calling him the Brazilian Conor McGregor. So in my opinion, Mauricio Ruffy, man, like the feeling I had watching him at 309, like I was aware of who he was. I saw him on the Contender Series. I'm like, okay, like a little bit of a letdown in terms of what I expected out of him, but it just went to show how tough Lion Top was. But seeing him here now, getting to know kind of just a little bit about him, riding the hype of the Fighting Nerds, and then seeing this performance, I'm all fucking in a Mauricio Ruffy, bro, alright? I don't really care too much about the fucking McGregor comparisons or whatever the fuck, but I'm all behind the hype of Mauricio Ruffy right now, man, alright? I'm not just trying to be that guy where I see one fucking performance and I'm all the way in. It's more than that, bro. I swear, it's more than that. I fuck with the aura of Ruffy here now, and he went from being, I feel like, my least favorite or well-known fighting nerd to now all of a sudden, dude, I'm fucking rooting for this guy big time here. So I think, Jesus, I'm just kind of ranting about this like it's a recap. I should probably just say who the fuck I think you should give him. I think you should give him Drew Dober, man. All right, I think you should do Mauricio Ruffy, Monkey D. Ruffy here going against Drew Dober. I mean, now listen, I think Ruffy versus Dariush is a fight that makes complete sense. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to see Ruffy get that kind of rushed. He's 28. He's riding a lot of hype right now. And I want to see him kind of get a smoother entry into the rankings. Don't get me wrong. I think he would beat Beneil Dariush. I think it's a very winnable fight for him. Beneil would make it tough, all right? People forget, man, but put some respect on Beneil. But at the end of the day, I think that Ruffy has the power and just has the momentum to get it done against a guy like Dariush, and especially with the inactivity coming from him. But I just want to see Ruffy not get rushed into this a little too soon, man. Like, I want to see him kind of be not treated like a proper prospect per se, because let's take advantage of this hype, and like he obviously is very captivating. I think they should capitalize on that, but like there's things that they could do a little more smoothly here. You know what I'm saying? Like if Joel Alvarez wasn't taking on BSD, I think that, Ruffy versus BSD could be fun. If Turner wasn't fucking retiring, I think that Ruffy versus Turner could be a nice entry in the rankings. You could do Ruffy versus Ludovic Klein or Faraziam, some shit like that. But Drew Dober, at the end of the day, he's like one of the kind of, not the old heads, but he's one of the vets, okay? He's been around the fucking game for a long time. And plus, the fighting nerd Gene Silva took on Drew Dober and obviously came up pretty, it was a great back and forth war. So Dober came up short on that one, but seeing him go against another fighting nerd, I don't know how willing he is going to be to do that, but Dober kind of takes on fucking anybody, all right? I'm sure he'd be down, and I think it'd be a really fun scrap. I think that Dober's a tough guy to finish, but it is doable, and I think that Dober would bring the pressure, bring the heat, and I feel like it's a nice gatekeeper kind of entry into lingering outside the rankings for Mauricio Ruffy, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, dude, I would not fucking complain at all if he did Ruffy versus Dariush. I'm just more so concerned. I just want him to have some longevity, and I want him to have, I just don't want him to get to 30 years old, and he's getting cooked now because it was just one of those situations where we rode the hype a little too much, and this guy got rushed. If he just gave him those extra couple of years, okay, with just some captivating matchups where it was kind of outside the top 5 or top 10, and he gets built up and gains the confidence and gains the skill set, makes himself more well-rounded, then he can go out and get close to the belt or get a title shot, really earn some fucking pay-per-view points. So I just don't want to see shit like this get fucked up, okay, because lightweight is full of fun prospects right now. Like I said, Fiziev, Joel Alvarez, Ludovic Klein, Mauricio Ruffy, you got Patty, the fucking baddie lad. There's a shit ton of them. Grant Dawson, KGD, so I'm sure there's even more I'm forgetting. I mean, now we got Ignacio Bahamondes as well, so lightweight, man, it's fucking turning over, and Mauricio Ruffy versus Drew Dober seems kind of like a nice little barn burner here that you could have as like a fight night co-main maybe, or like a fight night feature fight, some shit like that. Like, I feel like it'd be really fun to have in front of a crowd. Don't you dare motherfucking put this in the Apex. Here's the fucking thing, you guys. This would be great for a fight night, and honestly, even if you want to do this as like a pay-per-view opener, a pay-per-view feature prelim, I could see that, man, but I just don't want to see Ruffy rushed. But I wouldn't complain about Ruffy versus Dariush. And for Dober, I know he kind of wins 2, loses 2, wins 2, loses 2. So it's not like the craziest win to get for Ruffy. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's still a recognizable name and a nice one to have on the resume. Like, look at Makhachev's resume. Like, yeah, it's not like a Drew Dober win is one of the ones that people are talking about the most, okay? Or really even too much. But it's there as like the cushioning of like, okay, he had to get past Dober before he got to, then the big, bad Bobby Greens and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So, fucking hell, man. I think you should do Ruffy versus Dober. I feel like this matchup will get shit on, but I don't know, man. It's just tough what the fuck to do with Ruffy here, but I like this matchup. I'm going to stand my base on this one. I think it'd be really fun. And after this, I think you could do Ruffy versus somebody kind of lingering outside the rankings, like somebody having a good win streak going, or, you could do somebody just right away in the rankings. Maybe then even a Beneil Dariush. Who the fuck knows? By then, I feel like it'd be too late, but you know what I'm saying. So, moving on up next here to fucking, what's his name? Hank Hill, fucking, god damn it, Bobby. We got Bobby Green, man. God damn it, Bobby. Okay, what are we going to do with him? Okay, suffering the hands of Ruffy. It was worth it for the badass photo that we got and one of the most badass knockouts of the year. But what am I talking about? I'm like selling Green's soul for a fucking cool picture and a cool knockout, okay? I'm sorry, Bobby Green, bro. I'm sorry. God damn it, Bobby. What are we going to do with him? What are we going to do with him, dude? I think you should give Michael Johnson, okay, like Bobby Green versus Fiziev or some prospect on the rise right now, or even somebody who's just very dangerous, even if they're not necessarily on a good win streak. Like, dude, I'm scared for Green at this point, man. All right, like, I'm scared for him at this point. It's the Jalen Turner loss. Green just taking so much damage, man. Oh my God, the Paddy Pimblett performance, 1 round, and now we're coming off of this one right here where it's 1 round, and it's just like in 2 different ways, right? He's getting finished on the feet and on the ground, and he's also just getting pieced the fuck up, and it's just so much damage, so many fights, so much so much brain damage, man, for big bad Bobby Green, and it's just, I can't see him go against any more prospects like this, man, all right? Paddy, fool me once, whatever the fuck, and now we got Ruffy, fool me twice. It doesn't need to be done. We don't need to see another 3rd murder on television in a row just for Green, man. Like, dude, this dude does not have 9 fucking lives here, all right? Let's give him Michael Johnson. It's a fun Unk versus Unk fight, man. Come on now, man. I honestly think that Johnson, too, right now, man, he's coming off of a great knockout at the Tampa card, and he's on a couple fight good win streak, but at the end of the day, it's Michael fucking Johnson, okay? He's very beatable. I mean, he's just one of those guys who just, his career as a whole makes no fucking sense, but he's very beatable, all right? He's got some skills, solid, but at the end of the day, it's winnable for Green, but it's winnable for Johnson. It's an Unk versus Unk fight, and it's just like, it's a good one for the fans. You could have this on the prelims for a pay-per-view, where you could have this maybe as like a good kind of solid, well-known staple to have for a fight night, maybe like a card opener or some shit like that, or I don't know, fucking know, but I feel like it'd be a fun fight. I feel like I could see a finish or a nice back and forth here. Both these guys know how to put on fun fights despite the fuck ton of experience that they got, man. Well, I guess it is kind of because the fuck ton of experience they got, but even at this age or even at this point in their career, they don't give a fuck. They've been putting on scraps or finishes regardless. So let's just do Green versus Johnson. I just can't see another murder coming from Bobby Green now. And Michael Johnson's kind of riding a good couple fight win streak, man. So Green would be a good recognizable name for him. So it's crazy these guys haven't fought to begin with, to be honest with you. But it is what it is, man. So moving on up next, man. What are we going to do with Joshua Van? My boy here, Joshua Van, dude, my favorite flyweight, dude. I'm all in on the hype. And you know what? At 30-27, it is what it is. I thought Joshua Van was going to get it done third round TKO over Saruya, but you know what? I'll fucking take it 30-27, okay? I don't know about y'all, but was I the only one that was like scared that the judges were going to give some of the rounds to Saruya just because I know that the judging can be a bit retarded sometimes? But at the end of the day, man, the judges did the right thing. I know there was like one or two kind of bad decisions at the end of the night, or in total at the end of the night, but honestly, they got a lot of them right at the same time. So Van 30-27, let's fucking go, baby. And what are we going to do with him now, okay? I think that you should give him Bruno Silva again. I think that we should rebook it. This was a fight that was, originally going to be going down for 313. Silva pulled out a couple weeks before, and then Saruya stepped in. But I think Van would have beat Silva, but at the end of the day, Silva, I think, could give enough problems to where it is kind of a tricky fight to call. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember who was the favorite or whatever, but I could see a lot of people going with Silva on that. Silva's solidly well-rounded and, can hold his own on the feet and on the ground. But Van's takedown defense, dude. Don't get me wrong, Saruya got him down a couple of times in the second and third round. There was one maneuver he did. I don't know the fucking name of it, but it looked fucking sweet. I know Daniel Cormier literally was in fucking sweats. I thought we were about to see a Jerry Lawler literally having a heart attack on TV situation with DC. He was getting the sweats, was getting really fucking excited about it, all right? It was something in the second round, but Joshua Van, though, man, like regardless, he was just getting the better of him on the feet, which was completely to be expected. Joshua Van clearly had the striking advantage going in there, but at the same time, man, like the takedown defense is so fucking good from him, and people were saying that, me included, going into the fight, but he really just went out there and completely showed it. Saruya was undefeated, don't get me wrong, Van fucking schooled him, but he was undefeated, and the wrestling was good for him. So at the end of the day, Van is just showing how well-rounded he is, like just such an entertaining guy, and going against a guy like Silva, I feel like it'd be a fun scrap for the flyweights. I feel like it'd end in some kind of finish coming from Van, late TKO, or Silva could end it on the feet or on the ground, who the fuck knows, but I feel like it'd be fun, like both these guys up and coming right now, and Silva just kind of holds on to that ranking that's above. And let's get Joshua Van. I didn't even realize this until like 313 or right after that. Van's not even in the fucking rankings anymore. Fucking disgrace. Let me pull this up. Like, who the fuck do we got here? Because we had to make room for Ramazan Tamero. I know I just fucked up that name, but we got Charles Johnson holding on to the 15th spot now, and it's just Bruno Silva sitting at 12. I also think you could do Tagir Ulanbekov. He's sitting at number 11. You could do him versus Van. I'd honestly be down for that scrap, but I think you should do Silva versus Van, man. Let's get Van into the rankings here. I know you can't really put him in because Asakura's at 14 and he needs a spot, and Charles Johnson's at 15 and he knocked out Van. Van's only UFC loss. Fucking hell. But at the end of the day, man, I want to see good things for Van, and I think that this scrap against Silva would be considered a good motherfucking thing for just not only the fans, but also it's a winnable fight for Silva. I could see him getting it done. I know he has to fight down here, but I mean, he just is coming off of the loss to Cop, so it's like, what else are you going to do? And then Van, let's see him get a shot in the rankings. Let's fucking see this. You know what I'm saying? So, big fan of Van here. I think it'd be a fun scrap between these two. So, moving on up next here, what are we going to do with Ignacio Bahamondes? Now, I'm stuck between two things, okay? I don't think I'm going to get... I don't think either of these are going to be well received, to be honest. But for Ignacio Bahamondes, I think you should give him... There's either two routes, okay? This is like the Telltale, like, choose-your-own adventure games, all right? We're doing like The Walking Dead with Lee. Y'all remember that shit? But, okay, we're going to be doing the one of two routes. If you want to give Bahamondes another ranked opponent, a step up here, I think you should do Beneil Dariush, okay? Like I said, Ruffy's not really ranked right now. I think he should kind of face someone outside the rankings for now, but Dariush does need a scrap kind of around the summer. I think Bahamondes would be down to make a turnaround. He didn't really take any damage against Turner, so we got number 13 or number 12, Bahamondes, going against number 9, Dariush. I think that fucking makes sense. And if we're going to do the unranked route, I'm sorry, y'all. I think maybe Ludovic Klein versus Bahamondes might be the move here. Now, I know it's prospect versus prospect, and Bahamondes just got in the ranking. So, again, if you want to see him fight up, face a well-known name or well-ish known name, give him Dariush. If you want to see kind of somebody else get a shot at the ranking, see a prospect versus prospect here, or do an unranked name for Bahamondes to kind of cling onto that spot. You know, he wouldn't even really be kicked out the rankings, I don't think. He's at number 13 right now, I think. If Klein were for somehow going to beat him, I think that Bahamondes would just be bumped down a spot or two. So he'd still be in it, and that way Klein can get in. So who the fuck knows? But you can go one of these two routes here, okay? I don't really know here. It's kind of a tricky one here. Bahamondes is a very tough one for me to kind of figure out who to give him. But again, that's why I had to kind of give the double option here, you know? So Dariush, I feel like it'd be a solid scrap. I think it's winnable for Dariush, to be honest with you. But Bahamondes, so not only is he one of the most dangerous strikers in the division, but now he's got grappling in his back pocket. God fucking damn it, I love it. I love it, baby. So Bahamondes proving that he's well-rounded, proving that he's dangerous. If anything, Jalen Turner, I know he's not much of a grappler or that much of an offensive wrestler, but I thought he had the grappling advantage going into that fight, but Bahamondes out here getting the fucking sub win. So all due respect to him, man, it was great putting himself on the map here. It's nice to have a new name for the division. Ludovic Klein is a prospect who doesn't really get too much attention, but also does deserve it. I know he's a bit of a decision merchant, but Klein is well-rounded as fuck and deserves a shot in the rankings, or at least someone to fight before it. So Bahamondes, I feel like that could be a good scrap. So either way, Dariush or Klein, I think giving him to Bahamondes makes sense. And you know, there's a lot of things you could do with Ignacio here, but at the end of the day, my gut's telling me whatever the fuck it's telling me, right or wrong, so I'm standing my base here, and that's what I'm going to be going with. So, last one we're going to be talking about here. I'm going to make this really brief because I don't know what the fuck to say too much about it here. Blaydes versus Volkov 2. The rematch here. It's a rematch I know not a lot of people are asking for here, and I know the first one wasn't anything too crazy. It ended up just going to the distance, which you don't really love to hear for heavyweight, especially if it's not that great of a fight or something too memorable. But listen, man, I originally had Blaydes versus Gane, but Gane's gonna fight it this September or October. It's probably gonna be September, like the annual France card. They've been doing that for the past 2 or 3 years around that time frame. So I think they're gonna do it again. I want to see Blaydes back sooner than that. It's just unfortunate. Like they should have just done the fight at Seattle. It's unfortunate that it had to play out this way because now we didn't get the fight at all, and Blaydes kind of wasted a camp and a half here, and it's unfortunate, man. But I think I want to see him back before like September. So as much as I want to see Blaydes versus Gane, and I think it makes sense, I think it is what it is. You just can't do it timing wise, and you can't do Blaydes versus you can't do Blaydes versus Pavlovich because we already kind of seen that. You don't want to see Blaydes versus Almeida 2 kind of right away. At least I don't, me personally, right now. You know, so Blaydes versus Volkov 2, I guess it's been long enough, and it makes sense to where Volkov can kind of get a title shot if he beats Blaydes, and it's a winnable fight for Blaydes on the other end. So at the end of the day, it makes sense. It's just Blaydes shouldn't even been fighting Kuniev in the fucking first place. So the UFC kind of shot themselves in both feet for that one. But now we're dealing with this. And then they fucking robbed my boy Volkov from Gane. So it is what it is, dude. This is tough because I know this isn't a matchup that's too exciting or, you know, gonna bring in too many things. But it could be a great fight night main event, especially in front of a crowd. You know, we could see a finish here. I think Volkov's gonna be very hungry to get the fuck after it. And same with Blaydes here, you know, for different reasons. Blaydes wants to, you know, coming off of the title loss, and he really wants to kind of make a statement after, especially, I'm sure, the pullouts with Kuniev. You know, I'm sure he's biting down on the motherfucking mouthpiece trying to get after it. And Volkov, you know, he realizes how close he was to getting a title shot and how close he still kind of is because of the fucking robbery. So it is what it is, man. It's tough. What do you do with Blaydes right now? I mean, with heavyweight, especially, we don't know what's going on with Tom Aspinall, the real motherfucking champion. We don't know what's going on with him. Is he going to fight Gane? Is he going to fight Jones? Who the hell knows? He's being held back. Heavyweight, it's so tough with these matchups because there's only like 6 or 7 names we could really use. Like from Tybura and Spivak and beyond, like there's really nothing here to really talk about. They're kind of figuring themselves out, but the division is just bone dry of prospects or really a lot of interesting matchups, man. We're talking about the same like 6 or 7 guys. Don't get me wrong. The top 5 of the division is elite and they're good. But when we're getting past that, man, down past Almeida, down to like the 7, 8, 9 and beyond range, it's tough. So, and a lot of these guys have already fought already in the top 5 or 6. So it's tough. Now we're dealing with Blaydes and Volkov too, and it's the best I got, fellas. Again, I want to do Blaydes versus Gane, but just the timing wise, I can't really see it. So that's going to be it, y'all, for the fights I think should be made next year, man. Thank you so very much for tuning in, making this far in the video. Really appreciate y'all for that. If you guys could help me get to 1,000 subscribers, would mean the world to me. Really appreciate y'all for that. And again, regardless, just thanks so much for making it this far. Let me know your opinions in the below. Like, which of these matchups do you like the most? Which ones do you fucking hate? Where was I right? Where was I wrong? Which matchups would you make next? Let me know in the comments below. So, all the smoke MMA here. Appreciate y'all a lot, man. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.